Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the subject on prophets, which are true prophets and false prophets, and what scripture says about true prophets and false prophets. And we're going to see that the people that call themselves prophets these days are actually not prophets, but soothsayers and sorcerers. Okay, let's start with Daniel 9 verse 10. We have not obtained the voice of Yahuwah to walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants the prophets. You see here Daniel in his prayer says that these people, the Israelites, did not obey the Father's Torah, which he set before them through his servants, the prophets. Now, as we see here, prophets are considered Yahuwah's servants. They're also called his messengers. Yahuwah's messengers or Yahuwah's spokesmen. Now what did they speak? They proclaimed to the people that they need to obey the Torah and the instructions of Yahuwah, otherwise he will judge them, and then they will tell them of future events if they don't obey the Torah. Now you have to ask yourself this, is this what is happening today? Is the prophets that call themselves prophets, are they doing this? Are they telling the people to obey the Torah? Are they obeying the Torah themselves? Because if you're a true prophet, you will also keep the Torah and tell others to do the same. Otherwise, you're not a prophet at all. Because a prophet is Yahuwah's spokesman. He will say what Yahuwah wants him to say. He can't say what he wants to or feels like. Acts 7 verse 52 and 53. Which of the prophets did your fathers not persecute? And they killed those who before announced the coming of the righteous one, of whom you now have become the betrayers and murderers, who received the Torah as it was ordained by messengers, but did not watch over it. You see here that the people persecuted the prophets. Why? Because they told exactly what the Torah said they must do. They told the people to keep the Torah, and your carnal man does not like to hear that if you're in the flesh. You don't want to hear people warning you that you can't do this or can't do that. So what happened here is they were killed for proclaiming the Torah to the people, or saying to them what will happen with them in the future, the judgments if they don't obey the Torah. What scripture says about false prophets? Luke 6:26 says, Woe to you when all men speak well of you, for thus their fathers did to the false prophets. False prophets, people speak well of them. Why? Because they tell the people what they want to hear. That's how you can discern which are a false prophet and which are a good prophet, or the true prophets. The one that tells people always what they want to hear, that's the false prophets. Because Yahuwah will always tell people to obey the Torah, to return to his instructions. So the true prophets will never be liked, you could say. They will always be persecuted. Also, Matthew 7 verse 15 to 23. Mantityahu 7. I'm going to read this from the scriptures. This is what Yahushua said about false prophets. But beware of false prophets, who comes to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are savage wolves. By their fruits you shall know them. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? So every good tree yields good fruit, but a rotten tree yields wicked fruit. A good tree is unable to yield wicked fruit, and a rotten tree to yield good fruit. You see, Yahushua tries to explain to the people that a false prophet, you will be able to see in his life, how he lives his life, if he's true or false prophet. Not what he says, but what he does. If he does not obey the Torah, he's a false prophet if he prophesies in the Father's name. And we know also, as we read in Daniel, that a true prophet will proclaim the Torah, like Yahushua did. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. So then by the fruits you shall know them. Not everyone who says to me, Master, shall enter into the reign of the heavens, but he who is doing the desire of my Father in the heavens. Sorry about that. Let me read it again. Not everyone who says to me, Master, shall enter into the reign of the heavens, but he who is doing the desire of my Father in the heavens. Father's desire is that we obey the Torah. Many shall say to me in that day, Master, have we not prophesied in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and done many mighty works in your name? And then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. 1 John 2 verse 3 says, by this we know that we know him, when we keep the commandments. Here he says, I do not know you, and he also connects that to the Torah. He says, you who practice lawlessness. So he does not know us if we live lawless. He knows us if we obey the Father's law. Now, we see here that these prophets, or so-called prophets, said they prophesied in his name. But the problem that they had was they did not proclaim the Father's Torah, and they did not obey his Torah themselves. So what they actually were doing is soothsaying. They told people's fortunes under the guise of Christianity, under the guise of being a prophet. They call themselves prophets, but they're actually telling people's futures. And that is sorcery, that's soothsaying. Let's see what the dictionary, first let's see what Deuteronomy 18 verse 10 says, what is a soothsayer, about the soothsayer. There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or one who practices witchcraft, or a soothsayer, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer. We see here that the Torah says they must not have anyone like soothsayers amongst them, the Israelites. And that we will read, you can read in the Torah that those people who does these things must be killed. Not that we go and kill these people, but the governments that were obeying the Torah were supposed to do that. We don't have a government like that these days. That will only happen with the 1,000-year reign of Yeshua, where a government will be there that keeps and obeys the Torah. Let's see what the dictionary says on soothsayers. It's a person who professes to foretell events. The Random House dictionary says forecaster, a predictor, a seer. Sooth meaning truth. People doing soothsaying say something truthful about your life, and then they say something about your future. That's what I saw in the congregations where I went to, where these false prophets stood up and did soothsaying. They can use astrology by checking the stars at one's birth to foretell that one's future, foretell the fortunes and destinies of individuals. They're also called sorcerers, one who tells the lot of others, from Latin sortiarius, cast lots, also matterers, or those who proclaims to have power with evil spirits. So you see in the dictionary, soothsaying and sorcery goes hand in hand. And we see that Scripture is against this, soothsaying and sorcery and foretelling people's futures. What a true prophet will do is rather tell people to obey the Father's instructions, to warn them that they must return to His will, and that is what a true prophet will do. And you will see in their lives that they're also obeying the Torah. That's the easiest way to tell, by looking at their lives, how they live it. Rather build your house on the solid foundation, which is Yahuwah's Torah, His word. Don't build on the words that others tell you about your future or your life now. Even if what they say about your life now is true, don't listen to them still. Rather depend on the Torah, and let the Spirit lead you in what you must do.